Alrighty. So I just started streaming. What I want to do, let me check Twitter first if it's picking it up, because I feel like I sometimes stream and then nobody sees it. I've had some issues with that. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna build something, but I don't want to put the building kind of in the foreground. I want to put the strategy and the thinking behind it kind of in the foreground, because I feel like there's too much coverage of people just prompting cursor, building shit that nobody needs, just because they can. And yeah, just trying to show the other side of it more. But we are going to build something as well. I think essentially a place for people to share and get system prompts for Claude projects, because I'm using that heavily internally for our company. And I've built out a bunch of tools. I've made videos on it before, so if you're on my channel, just check them out. But essentially, sharing them is quite a pain, because it's just you end up, copy pasting back and forth, and it's not really made for sharing. I mean, within a team, but then every team sees like $20. So whenever I'm like, hey, I built this thing and I want to share with you, I don't really have a way to do it, right? So that's number one. I want to solve my own problem of sharing system prompts and then Claude project prompts and maybe, context. But there's also another angle to this where, and we're going to create a strategy for this in a minute, where we started doing a kind of MVP service. So if you want AI software or SaaS MVPs, you can come to us and we'll build it for you. And essentially, the idea is not just solving my own problem, but essentially kind of engineering as marketing, where we can use that thing to drive traffic to our service, in a sense, right? Which these videos are also kind of part of that, because someone that is in the market to look for Claude system prompts, if we are able to rank on search, which we're going to look at in a minute, someone that's in the market for system prompts is generally interested in building Claude projects, so internal tooling or whatever, and they might just be looking for inspiration. Maybe they're looking for how to use Claude projects and things like that. So there is an extension of that would be, okay, should I, where do I hit the limits of internal projects of Claude, and where do I need like custom software development, for example, right? So there's a way to position ourselves at the bottom of it, to have a CTA to go to that service, if that makes sense. So essentially, I'm delivering value, and the value is free, but then I'm trying to monetize it, in a different way, and just drive traffic to our kind of MVP builder page, so to speak. But yeah, that is the idea, right? So let me start sharing my screen. Last time I leaked a bunch of shit, so I need to be a bit careful, but let's see. All right, so essentially what I mean is these projects here, you can see I have a bunch of them, and each of these projects, they come with project knowledge, system prompt. So I want to be able to share these system prompts without a lot of work. I don't know how easy it will be, just because it's it's not super easy to integrate. I think some sort of Chrome extension would be the best integration. I know there was a Chrome extension for Claude that would let you share chats. That's like another problem I want to solve, is like I want to send these chats to someone that's not part of my team, and then they can continue to ask something, so they can continue to use it. But I'll do that another time, because we don't have time. I have like 1 hour or something until I have the next call. So essentially, project knowledge, system prompt, and then context, fairly simple. You can put whatever you want here, text or Google Drive. The cool thing with Google Drive is that it keeps it in sync. So it's essentially, just updates whenever you update the document. But again, I have like separate video on this, so if that sounds interesting, just check that out. Maybe I'll link it up somewhere. But yeah, so what we want to build is a site to share these prompts with each other, right? Plus, it should be built in a way where it maybe ranks for any sort of keyword that can be associated with um, these prompts. And for that, we're going to use our own kind of SEO tool. But before we do that, I want to go in and create a strategy. And that's what this tool is for, and that's what I'm going to share as well. Is the first prompt I want to share on that website once it's done. Create as a directory, maybe, for Claude system prompts to share them with other people so they use them. So we're gonna go in. I don't know if you can see this. How big is this? Fuck. So essentially, I want to create a directory for Claude system prompts to share them with other people so they can use them for their own projects. At the bottom, I want to link to our MVP AI builder service. So essentially, like I was saying, this thing is going to walk us through a couple questions just to see like how we can position it and what are unique advantages here, which I think is always very important. Like I just tweeted about this, that essentially if everybody can build everything because it's so simple to build, but it's so hard to actually stand apart, with cursor and whatever, and that's only going to get worse. I don't think it's going to get easier. We need to think about what we uniquely can offer the world that makes sense for us to build it, right? Because otherwise it's just a waste of time. Like if there's no value, I mean, there can be value in it if you want to learn, that's fine, right? If you're just getting started, then it's like more about learning versus like monetizing. But I'm not here essentially or necessarily like looking to learn. I want to get some value out of it, and then I need to be able to do that. Otherwise it's just a waste of time, right? Okay, development rating analysis, target audience. Okay, so what types of prompts would you want to include? To share the system prompts. What I usually do is either I take out my phone and I respond, or I just go in and kind of quote this so that it has the context. So for all kinds of use cases. All right. Who's your target audience? Okay, so let's say business owners, not necessarily developers. I think if I wanted to build for developers, I could make it much better. Integrating it, like deeper integrations into, let's say, cursor or whatever. I don't even know if that's possible, just hypothetically. But I think I don't want to go after developers necessarily, because if I'm offering some sort of AI MVP service, then why would I get developers in the door? Because they can just do it themselves, right? So there's no real use case for me to do that, although it's possible. But that's kind of what I mean is like, okay, what is your goal in the end, and then like working your way back, and not like necessarily overdoing it with strategy, but like there needs to be some sort of thinking before you build something, right? But I'm not gonna wait weeks and figure shit out before I start doing something. What unique value could you provide beyond just listing prompts? We can add categories, example input, example output. So essentially, every Claude project has like one specific use case, right? Which means it's good to show the user input and output, and also maybe use cases, like what can you do with it, and then maybe also enabling search on top. But that really only becomes a problem once I have too many of these prompts, which is to be decided. So I'm not going to add that now. Performance metrics, not really. I had some other idea, but I forgot. Example context. So you saw that I have context in the system prompt that is attached to the project, but it's not um it's unique to us, right? Or to me. So that I can really share. I mean, I can, but it's not going to be useful for you. But I can share like an abstract version of that where I say, this is what I would attach, like maybe information about the founders or yourself or other stuff, depending on the system prompt or example outputs of your tweets if we build some sort of tweet generator project or something, right? Example extra or edit context for better results. So the more context, the better. Obviously, as long as it's the right context. What else did it ask me here? Target audience. All right, here's some more questions. How do you envision the prompts? Blah, blah, blah. How do you envision the prompts directly leading to your MVP builder service? Just a CTA at the bottom. And copyright, I don't know, backlink to made by. So there's two ways, right? We can have a CTA that looks more like a card CTA, with some header and some a bit sick, sorry. A header and then a button, or just at the bottom. I don't know yet what I'm gonna do. Like the CTA card is a bit more in your face, but it's probably gonna be seen by more people. And then the other one is like a bit in the background, but it's obviously nobody's going to click it, or very little amount of people are going to click it, right? So that's our trade-off. We can be more upfront, or we can be more in the background. If we want people to share it, which I guess is an idea, so if you add a prompt, also make it easy to share it, as a link with others, we would want to maybe be a bit more in the background. But yeah, I don't know. I'll figure that out later. What's the specific value proposition that connects these two offerings? That's what I said earlier, right? So people that are looking to build internal tools with Claude projects could hit the I don't know, the limits, opt for custom internal software dev with AI. So they could opt for something, or they could just ask us to create a system prompt for them. So if they're looking for custom prompts, they're like, okay, I found this, I can't find what I'm looking for, but maybe they can write one for me. So that could even be its own service business on top, like a productized service or whatever, on top of the page directly, right? Okay, let's see. As a sort of productized service. We are Product Studio. I'll show you the website real quick just to get some context. So essentially what we do as a product studio is like we build our own products like Swift Brief and the Made of Honor speech tool that are our own products, but we also build, products with others together, either partners as like joint ventures or just as like a service. So this is essentially just going to drive traffic here. And then we have people coming in, booking calls, and we help them just talk about AI, which is also interesting. Just get like ideas what people are doing, like what's out there. And yeah, we are like actually 4 people and my 2 dogs, which are the most important team members. But yeah, so that's kind of just some context. So we'll be linking here. Maybe I'll make a specific landing page for this type of stuff, but probably not worth it right now. So maybe later. All right. That builds AI SaaS with partners and other stakeholders. We are especially good in building prototypes, proof of concepts, MVPs. Like, I think we're more early stage people, just because that's the most fun, experimenting and building fast. But yeah, so this is the first batch of questions that I answered. You look something like this. So we're just trying to, take a bit of a stance here. I think let's limit it to half an hour, or let's do like 11:50. So in like 7 minutes, because you can go on forever with this shit, but it's not. We don't need to overdo it. Content creation, quality, inconsistency, distribution. Okay. Who would be responsible for the tweets? So that would be me. Maybe give it some context. I'm Stefan, because you have all the founders attached as context, and I'm not the only one. How would you ensure quality and consistency? I can do a manual review for custom submit. So if other people submit something, we can allow it by default. Opens you up for like spam, right? Or we can say, I'll manually review it, and then I will only let in what's good, which is more work on my end, but will ensure that the quality is good. I think we can leave it open for now, because nobody's gonna do anything, I think, unless someone that's watching this is gonna spam the thing. But let's leave that for later, if necessary. But for now, let's just make it like open. Maybe we can even just make it a form, some type form of sorts. Then I have to review it, unless I can manually already do it, automate it. But I'll just care about that later. Do a type form of sorts in the beginning. What? Blah, blah, blah. Am I going to update them? Probably not. It's also a question that's interesting. Like, how are people going to update them that like submit them initially if I don't know who they are? And there's no accounts, right? So I think they just submit a new one. I delete the old one. That's like by far the easiest. Assuming anybody's gonna give a shit, which we don't know yet, right? Stay as they are, and people can submit new ones. Oh, I forgot a bunch of questions here. Okay. Traffic. Okay. Oh. So initial distribution is, I'm thinking with directories, is always SEO. But SEO takes a bit of time, so maybe sharing it on Twitter. I have 7,000 followers. Sharing it on newsletter. So if, for example, I would add this as context, that I have 7,000 followers and I have like a newsletter, I don't know, with, it's not a lot, 66, something like that. And a YouTube channel with 450 subscribers. I don't have to always write this. So I could say like, hey, use my existing assets that you know about because they're in your context, and just use them to do initial, marketing or whatever you want to call it. I can post this on Product Hunt. We can launch that shit. It doesn't really. I don't think anybody's gonna give a shit. But Product Hunt is crap anyway these days, so it doesn't really matter. There's no downside. What else? Existing audience. I guess I answered these two in the same vein. No real downside. I can also build it as an evergreen asset for SEO. Paid marketing, probably not, unless we can show that it actually drives results for the MVP business, whatever. Right. So I can spend money. I mean, I can just to test, but if there's no business value because nobody actually willing to take the leap from the free resource to the rest, I don't see a reason to spend on paid. I'd probably rather send paid to the newsletter or something to grow that, because then I can monetize that over time as well. But yeah, it's not the primary goal here, I would say. Okay. Difficulty. What the fuck? Who gives a shit? All right. Let's do this. So for the type form submissions, what criteria would you use to evaluate new prompts? Input and output. Quality. So the quality of the output and input, and probably if the prompt already exists in this shape or form, right? How would you handle attribution? I think Twitter or other. So I'll probably add a Twitter handle or something where if you create content on the thing, then you also get linked back to, and maybe site. I don't know if that's a good idea, but like some sort of backlink to your website, whatever you want to put there, assuming you own it. Yeah, later. So any other features? Community features, ratings, comments, success stories. I feel like ratings probably good, like just a way to filter out the crap. But this is a classic kind of what is it called? Network effect? No. I mean, once you reach a certain scale, so we have a lot of prompts, it can get bad because the quality gets worse over time, right? Or there's duplication or whatever. So essentially, and we need a way for the best prompts to rise to the top. But that could also be how often have they copied? Have they been copied? Right? Like there's going to be some copy button, and then you press that, and then you put that into your own. That's the assumption thing, your own Claude project, or ratings or other things. But this is for later. These are all problems you need to solve later once you actually have content. It's not something you need to start with. It literally doesn't matter in the beginning. People are, the early adopter people that are going to be on this, they're like going to look at the 4 or 5 prompts that are there, and maybe they'll submit one. But and if they don't have the patience to sit through that, well, then they're just going to leave, and they're just not your early adopters anyway, right? So it's a way of like sorting them out, because they don't care enough to give a shit, which is fine. Not everyone will. We can add ratings and comments. Success stories are a bit too much. Don't make sense. So success stories, I don't think makes sense because it's like it's a fucking prompt, man. It's like what are you gonna say? All right, so I'll probably build this on Next. There's probably some sort of system that will let me build it without like some directory generator. I think Code gives you the most flexibility, and it's also our stack that we usually use. And then I also what I want to do as part of this as well is like I want to try DeepSeek in Windsurf. So if we go to the coding part, we'll try that because I haven't used it. And I thought it would be a good idea just to see like if it works well. Um, so I'm going to use Code, not a website builder. But if you don't know Code or you don't want to use it, then it's probably you can get away with using a static builder. It's more like what are you most efficient in, and what gets you to the finish line for this first kind of proof of concept, whatever you want to call it, the fastest. So that is the most important, and that's the criteria to go after, essentially. Um, yeah. I was just checking if this shit's showing up on Twitter. All right. If you have any questions, by the way, while you're watching, just let me know. Should probably have some sort of chat access, but so far not a lot of people have been watching, so also don't really need that for the live stream. All right, tech stack, next.js, universal prompt storage. I'm thinking for now as JSON files. I don't want to set up a database. I think that goes too far. I want to have JSON files, and then the next step would be the JSON file, but then remote. So now I'm deploying it in the public folder. I think I don't know yet, but that's what I'm thinking. Or I'll just hard code them later in a database. But it's by far the fastest to just hard code them in the project as like objects, JavaScript objects, whatever you want to call it. And search and filter capabilities, searching by prompt name and filter by category. I don't know, but this isn't needed in the beginning, right? Like we don't really need that. It can be edited later. If I have like 10 prompts on there, who gives a shit? Like if I can filter that. It's more important that if you have categories that you show the category so that people can quickly scan, and maybe we can group it by category as well so that they show up in the same area on the screen, which makes it easier, right, for people to scan. Blah blah blah. All right, perfect. All right, so now I put together a kind of strategy. Right, so here is the hypothesis. We're going to create a Claude system prompt directory that will attract AI users through organic channels and create opportunities for niche mates, MVP, builder servers, while requiring minimal maintenance. And this is in the strategy creator prompt, this kind of format. And that's this key advantages. So, like, what are our actual advantages? Our strengths that we can play out um, to make this grow or to build this. Like, what makes us unique to build this? Some of these are not that strong. Like 7,000 followers is not a lot, right? So, potential. I think our SEO experience is probably more relevant to this, especially if this is going to rank like long term. Resource. Okay. I think so. Now I'm going to give feedback. This or too much. I want to build this in the next 30 minutes. Yeah, so this is obviously way too long, but this is essentially like a best case example. Um, all right, but I don't want to spend that much time on it. I'm just gonna copy paste some prompts that I already have here. They're already created. All right, so now I said, hey, look, I have 30 minutes, and now it's like, hey, let's do a more bare minimum. Uh, yeah, so technical content. It's even smart enough to recommend itself, right? So it's like at the strategic planning system prompt as a first example, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So that's interesting. It's sentient, run, um, title description, content, source. Mm, yeah, this is enough. I would like add useful extra or edit context to the format for each prompt. So I want to have that in there because I think that's useful. Ship it. It's trained by indie hackers. Useful context. Yeah, this is too much. Who asked for code, dude? Who cares? Documents. So I guess we could go ahead and start building it out here. But for now, I want to see Claude, what kind of traffic there even is. Usually I would probably do this before, but for the sake of doing it here live, I'll do it afterwards. Project prompts. I don't have a URL, so I'll use SwiftBrief for now. Create. I don't actually know if I can use Claude in the domain. Probably they'll cry, but we'll see. So I'm gonna do Claude projects, which is like the shortest thing I can imagine, or maybe Claude, but we have to keep in mind, and that's a bit tough. We will compete on branded search with Claude. So anyone that, if we're called something like Claude projects, anyone that's like buggy here. So anyone that's like anything that Claude produces will be our competitor, which Google will prefer because it makes the most sense for them to show you the brand because that's most likely what you're looking for. So any resource that the brand provides because it's their branded keyword. But yeah, I mean, there's a trade-off here between like calling it something like LLM system prompts or something, which is more generic. But then people also don't just expect Claude on the page, and it's also probably already exists one way or another, right? But I don't know. We can look that up. We can throw that down as well. It's a bit more generic. We could also do Claude system prompts, which I think will be one of the keywords that we'll see with another thing. But let's see. Let's see what domains are available. Okay, they're both available. I don't want to see. So if I can, I go for an exact match. You don't have to. It's not as important anymore, but it's possible. Like if it's possible, I'll do it. But again, like trade-off here, right? So if I get Claude systemprompts.com, at some point I'll most likely will have to make a switch of the domain. Like I need to keep that in mind. So like a migration. But the name is good because it's very specific. Um, but yeah, again, I don't even know if it's allowed. AI projects. So what this is going to show me is essentially what opportunities exist, right, for content. So for example, how to use Claude projects, Claude projects API, Claude projects. This is probably the most interesting one. Limits, but again, like anything with Claude will be not that easy to rank for. I'm wondering what this is. AI projects. Okay, so this is more like applications. Um, AI prompt tuning, AI prompts, LLM system prompts versus user prompts. So this is more like informational, right? People are looking for information. System prompt examples. Prompt engineering. Oh. Let's add something else. Best prompts for. So this will show me also which competitors or like what people are searching for prompts for. GPT, Claude, Llama, whatever that shit's called, DeepSeek. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm quite set on Claude because that's something we could probably add to our strategy, right? It's like I don't want to write code yet. Please add as an advantage that we have 25 Claude projects. So that's an advantage. We already and have been using projects since it has been launched. I think that is an advantage over someone that's just starting out. Obviously, it's still not super strong, USP. But yeah, give me an updated strategy draft. Let's see. All right. Twitter. So nothing new. Prompt format. Growth path. Yeah, I mean, this is fine. I also have built in this system prompt. A board of advisors. That I added to the system prompt or as context, and then I can have it be reviewed by the advisors, right? So essentially, they can give their thoughts. It's kind of like the reasoning approach and give feedback and say like, hey, what's actually good? Strategy, for example, we're leveraging existing advantage, clear focus on quick execution. And this is what I already said, right? Is there like a real competitive advantage? And I don't think so. I mean, it's weak. There is some, but it's weak. Some good questions. How do we prevent this from becoming just another prompt list? So it gives you like ideas, and I have different people. I have Munger and Buffett and Jason Cohn, just like Rob Walling, entrepreneurs, like solopreneurs, whatever, bootstrappers. Gary V, who talks a lot of shit, but he's also not wrong a lot of times. Yeah, I mean, mostly it's not a good strategy, right? Like there's a lot of weak points. Help me tackle some of the concerns. What can I do? So you can use this also to get some ideas about, okay, how can I tackle these? And then maybe some of them you should implement if it makes sense, but most of these will probably be more like long-term things. Okay, success metrics. Case studies. I mean, this is all for like, if it was a bigger project, maybe, but for this shit, it's like, who cares? Honestly, maybe some like version compatibility that might be okay, but it's more just like we don't really know how they're going to change over time, right? Like, are these going to become much different, the LLMs, but then probably prompting will change in general. So then it's like, might as well do something else. Okay. Best prompts for. Okay, there's nothing here, I guess. No, not a lot of signal. LLM prompt examples. LLM system prompts. What are people looking for here? Okay. So I guess people are more looking for what LLMs use as their system prompts, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it's because LLM, like, people will be searching for like ChatGPT's system prompt, for example. They're not gonna look for custom system prompts. Maybe that is something we can do, but I don't expect there to be a lot of traffic searches. Claude prompt is taken. Best Claude projects. We could do that. It's probably also not a direct search term, but Claude projects is. I think people here are more looking for reviewing the functionality. Um, Claude AI projects. I don't know. We'll do it. Just to move on. Again, I'm not sure this is allowed, but hopefully they'll take the free marketing and not be twats about it. But we'll see about that. Am I logged in here? Come on, man. Yeah, blah blah blah. Okay. And then we should get started on building some stuff. Vercel templates. Let's see if they have some sort of template. Image gallery. AI. Admin search directory. Router. So I guess not really. Portfolio. It's just portfolio use case with blog. Let's build. We can build our own starter. What is this? Yeah, it's not an image gallery because it's not images. But yeah, let's just do this one. Deploy. Best All right. Let's see. Oh. All right. Git clone this shit. All right. We'll use windsurf. Open a new window folder. Where's this shit? Here. All right. What else do we need to do? We need to yarn install. Huh? All right. Installing stuff. I'm assuming you have some sort of idea. Otherwise, you can also just ask here. Or one. Okay, let's use DeepSeek. Okay. Fuck off. Right, installing stuff. If you're not technical, you can always just ask here in Cascade or whatever, Claude, Cursor, doesn't matter, all the same shit to me. How do I get started with a Node next? It's called next.js project. I just downloaded, cloned from Git. So it will give us the steps. Thinking. Let's see what it comes up with. Damn, that's a lot of waffle, bro. Are we live? Let's see. All right. So we have this. What is this? Hydration. Beautiful. I think that's just some shit from some Chrome extension that I have. I don't really care. All right. So it says get started editing page T6, which we're going to do. Open that. Way too stupid. What's happening? Page. All right. So all the stuff's in here. Now what we can do, well, it told us install dependencies, yarn. Yarn. Do you just have yarn? Like, is it yarn install? I don't know. All right. But we already done that because I already know what to do, but just in case you need help. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it the strategy thing here. The last one. Let's see what it does. I'm not sure what it's going to do, but we can just say, I want to build this project. I want to build a project. It's outlined here. The strategy is outlined. Help me implement it. So just take whatever strategy we've created, which is interesting, right? So we can just think it through. I don't know if it's going to work. I've never done it, but we can just think it through within Claude and somewhere else. And then we can take everything that we have, and either in Claude we can continue, but here the integration is tighter. And maybe it will help us now to just create what we have to create in order to get it done fast. Let's see, what is it doing? Build card grid layout with prompt details, example content. All right. So I'm in chat mode. There's two different modes here. One is chat, so we'll just like chat us through everything. I'll make that a bit bigger. Um, the other is that it actually writes for us, which I usually use in the beginning. Like if there's some MVP type stuff, I'll use that. Um, but if there's already existing code base, then it sometimes can get wonky. Search query, prompt filter. Okay, so it wants to do searching. Which, I mean, there's no grid yet. What are you talking about? What the fuck? So yeah, I mean, some critical thinking involved here as well, because it says above the grid, which we don't have. But let's, for the sake of it, insert this. Okay, completely broke everything. Nice. That's pretty stupid. Let's see if it's better if I let it write. Let me implement it. Because right now there's not a lot of content here. Oh, you can just use Composer or whatever it's called, flows. I don't know. What will help us do? Prompt existing. All right, let's see. Did it actually do that? Do I need to start a new chat, or are you gonna apply the changes? Normally it does that. Honestly, this thinking stuff, like from DeepSeek, I feel like it's maybe useful for some use cases, but here it just goes on my nerves. Yes, because it's like not necessary for this stuff. I think it's not deep enough to be worth it. But all right, now it's doing something. So it's creating some prompts file here with an example. Okay, updating the layout, updating the page. All right, so let's see. Let's create an OG image symbol to complete the social string. Okay, so we have let's add the title and the description to the OG image. That's probably gonna look like shit, but if there is some sort of OG image generation going on, then we probably should have something on their image. So what Next can do, if you have an OG image route, you can essentially create them on the fly. I would probably create a nicer looking one, and then just use that. But for now, let's see. But honestly, we're getting kind of distracted. It's not really that important, if you ask me. So let's see. Lol. Let's apply. So in general, it seems less willing to just like apply stuff and create files and whatever. As to specifically kind of prompted to do that, which I think is weird, or at least different. One big downside with these kind of tools is that sometimes they just go in and delete a bunch of crap. That's why I don't use them once there's more code. I think there's ways to add to every prompt, like don't touch any existing stuff, but that's something I've noticed. Yeah, whatever, just do it. All right, do we even have the OG image route? I don't know, dude. Why is it so stupid? All right, let's use Sonnet. Actually, create the OG image file and apply the changes. I don't know. Like I need to play around with it more, understand what it's doing, because here you can see it's faster. I mean, it's probably dumber, but it at least helps me write the code and not just waffles the whole time. But yeah, could be skill issue. Who knows? Let's just accept. What does it look like? Okay, so here we have an issue. Failed to compile. I'll just put that in here. It will help me. I know what's going on. So we need to make it a client component, but let's see if it's also smart enough to figure that out. You can always review the differences here that it makes and then accept them. All right, so now we're back. We have a search bar now, but we also have all the old crap in here. All right, so what's next? Remove the old copy from the website. From the home page. This. Let's not remove it. Rewrite the old copy from the home page to fit what we're building, right? So we want it to fit what's actually going on. We don't want it to be the boilerplate stuff. And here, we'll probably also want to apply some sort of SEO knowledge, right? So we got the domain, and then in the H1 of the page, there should be the keyword. So I'm going to say, okay, Claude prompts directory. What was it? Claude projects. I have the domain Claude system. No, what was it? Claude best Claude projects. Let's use that for the H1. So the H1, anything else that is SEO relevant. So if we want to rank for that key term or keyword, we need it to be part of the H1. So the header and then the meta info and stuff like that. Or at least it's good practice. Okay, what is going on? Blah, blah, blah. Let's just YOLO this. All right, so it looks already a bit better. This looks like shit. But we can tell it. All right, so the filtering also doesn't work. Let's see. The filtering doesn't work yet. Help me fix it. Next thing we're going to do is going to ask it to update the layout because it looks like shit. Okay, so it does do something. Maybe I was just didn't have enough. So we can upload images here. help me fix the layout of the card as it looks like as. Make the fonts so that they have high contrast. Also, okay. I mean, does this look better? Not really. I mean, the texture looks better. But should they be under each other? What's a better layer for this? Let's say we just show the tag and the Twitter link, nothing else. But with shit like this, it's like, okay, probably faster to just go into the code base and do it. Oh, actually, this is not a good prompt. I think it's too confusing. Just show the tag link on the card in the last row. Because I think it was too unspecific. So let's remove this one. Gives it a bit more breathing room. That looks better, I think. Right? Okay. When I click on the card, open another page that actually shows the details of this system prompt. So now we need another page, like a detail page, right? Where we actually show what the prompt is good for. Do we have that in here? System prompt. Yeah, okay. And then we already have like the prompt there to show up as an example. Right. So you would have prompt, right? Slug page. What's the slug? I don't have a slug. So that would probably later be the URL or it'd be some sort of descriptive name. Yeah, whatever. Give it to me. Give it to me straight. All right. So this is already good, right? It doesn't look super good, but it's enough. Let's add 3. I have to wrap it up, so I'm just gonna mock some shit, add 3 more prompts as examples that make sense across different categories. And then a type form. I don't know if I have an account. All right. Just gonna use this. What's your system prompt? What do we need at content text? A long text. All right. I thought it would add that here. I guess it doesn't. But then we'll just delete this. What's your this is irrelevant. All right, so this is the easiest, right? Just like, what's your system prompt? Later we can add more. And what we're going to do is I'm going to say I have this type form, add a CTA that people can use this link to add their own system prompts. Oh, lol. Sure, I have to go at 12. Okay, how does this look like? It looks like, okay, well, so now we have some more examples. Add a link to niche mates at the bottom to tie in the CTA to our MVP builder service. So if we would have spent more time on the strategy, I think then it would have been more interesting or easier to set this up proper, because we didn't mention that, for example, what's the link, etc. Then we can just use that more as context. But I feel like also it like must summarize the context over time as you go, because then sometimes it just keeps like it forgets what you've done before, and if you reference it, then it doesn't remember. So it's always something to figure out later. Okay. So now we have the link. We have something where people can submit new prompts, which obviously kind of uses right now. Change the Twitter link niche mates to. So I'm gonna link to my Twitter. And then I think we're done. I'm going to replace them offline after the thing with like some extra useful prompts. And what we can do together is essentially go in here and then Jesus, add the domain, show you how that works. So what did we buy here? We got bestcloudprojects.com. Add the domain, environment, add domain. Why is this invalid? Oh. What's going on here, boys? Oh, that was a space at the end. What the fuck? All right, we'll do this. Now we have this A record here and a C name. So we'll have to add that to Namecheap. Advanced DNS. It's pretty straightforward. Vercel makes that pretty straightforward. But you can also always ask AI help you. And we need a C name for, I think, this, right? What am I doing? Fucking brain is already fried. All right. Come on. Pick it up, boy. Usually stuff takes some time. But yeah, usually also very fast on or so. So with this, okay, it shows the old stuff because we haven't actually commit or pushed anything. Let's see if it shows the right profile. Okay, looks good. Yeah, so that's it. I think the strategy part was more interesting. The rest is kind of whatever. And now I can actually add prompts whenever I want to share a prompt with someone from systems, like under my YouTube videos, for example. I can just use that. But let's actually push this, I guess. Wait, I usually never use this, but I'm just gonna add all of them. Init. I usually use source tree for this, but it should be all right. Let's see if it deploys. So I'm not sure if the standard is main or master git. Okay. So I have that on master. How do you fucking use this shit? So, oh, we have a master branch as well. Let's see. Nope. Failed to compile. Getting some issues with deploy. What are you doing? The frick? Yeah, so it's just essentially this thing. Commit and push. Bro. What is this? No, because I don't have a message or what? All right, let's see what it's doing. All right, so this now should go on to production, which is the domain that we actually were using, because that is connected to this. Once this works, I'm done. Took like 10 minutes longer than I wanted to, but again, hopefully was interesting to see more like the thought process behind it and like how to position it and what kind of domain name to go for, looking at keywords and exact match and how to think about like niching down in the domain name versus keeping it more generic and all this stuff that not a lot of people talk about. Does not. All right, more prompts. Only problems everywhere. What did it change? Page frost? Isn't that the same? Page props. I mean, load it again. Isn't it the same? Oh, my stupid params. Enable TypeScript. Disable TypeScript. Build errors for me. I don't know. Sometimes I just do that because I'm too lazy to. What the fuck? Invalid tool call. Just in order to make it build and make it deploy. Let's see. Yeah, because there's still some issues. Lol. Okay. It essentially created a new file. There is already, but I already have this. So I'm just gonna do it myself. I'll reject this. And then delete. Yeah, sometimes it's not that smart. I could have told it that there's already a file, but if I don't know in which file it goes, well, then I want the tool to do it. But just good times. Just good times. All right, I think this looks better. All right, OG image. Bruh, bruh. All right, real life. It's not the prettiest, but it works. And yeah, I'll change these out. And then I can finally share them with the world, and you can submit your own as well. And I'll check them out. Alrighty.